The stadium lights flickered on like hesitant stars, casting long shadows over the empty field where I'd last seen him alive. His broad shoulders cutting through the dusk, calling my name with that gravelly voice that always made my heart stutter. But it wasn't the fall that killed Coach Mark Harlan. It was the aneurysm, silent and swift, dropping him mid-sentence during our secret drive home from practice. His hand still warm on my thigh as the world blurred into sirens and regret. Now, standing at his memorial banquet in the heart of Austin, Texas, with the Longhorns banners drooping like funeral veils, I felt every eye on me, whispers slithering like snakes. Gold digger, they hissed. That pretty boy trainer thought he'd cash in on the old man's fortune. I gripped the edge of the polished oak table, the banquet hall's chandeliers humming overhead like a swarm of judgmental bees. The University of Texas Alumni Association had pulled out all the stops for this, crystal glasses clinking with bourbon, platters of brisket and pecan pie untouched, the air thick with cigar smoke and the faint metallic tang of grief. Coach Harlan, marked to me in those stolen midnight hours, had built this program from a ragtag bunch of dreamers into national contenders. He'd scouted me fresh out of community college, a scrawny kid from the Panhandle with a knack for rehabbing busted knees and a secret that burned hotter than the Texas sun. "You've got fire, Alex," he'd said that first day, his blue eyes locking on mine a beat too long, and I'd felt it then, the pull, dangerous and undeniable. But secrets in a locker room are like cracks in armor. They widen under pressure. We'd kept it buried deep. No touches in the training room. No lingering glances during film sessions. Mark was the golden boy of Austin football, heir to a oil rig empire that funded half the stadium's upgrades. At 52, he was twice my age, with laugh lines etched from years of sideline roars and boardroom battles. I was 28, still fighting the ghost of my own closeted youth in Lubbock, where fag was the sharpest slur hurled from pickup trucks. Our love was a quiet rebellion, nights tangled in his sprawling ranch house on the outskirts, where the hill country rolled like God's own quilt, and mornings where he'd brew coffee strong enough to wake the dead, kissing my temple as if I were the only victory that mattered. The banquet dragged on, speeches blurring into eulogies that painted Mark as the unbreakable patriarch. A man who gave everything to this game. The athletic director boomed, his voice echoing off the vaulted ceilings. Teammates, those hulking boys I'd taped up and iced down, nodded solemnly, but I caught the sidelong stares aimed my way. Jake, the quarterback Mark had molded into a Heisman hopeful, leaned over to his lineman buddy, muttering something that made them both snort. Jake had always resented me, ever since I'd called him out for skimping on rehab after a sprained ankle. Pretty boy's got his eye on the prize, he joked once in the showers, loud enough for the echo to carry. Now, with Mark gone 3 weeks, the vultures circled. I excused myself to the balcony, the December chill biting through my rented tuxedo. Austin's skyline glittered below, a mosaic of live oaks and limestone towers, the Colorado River snaking silver under the moon. My phone buzzed in my pocket, a text from Elena, Mark's estranged sister. "Lawyers here. Will reading after dessert. Brace yourself." Brace for what? Mark and I had talked wills once, over whiskey on his porch swing, his head on my shoulder as cicadas hummed our soundtrack. "Everything to you, kid," he'd murmured. "But don't let it change you." I'd laughed it off, tracing the veins on his forearm, the ones that mapped his life like rivers on a chart. Now it felt like a curse. Back inside, the room had shifted. The lawyer, a wiry man in a bow tie named Hargrove, stood at the podium, briefcase open like a confessional. Dessert forks scraped china as whispers died. "Mark Harlan's last testament," Hargrove intoned, his voice slicing the hush. Eyes flicked to me, accusatory, curious, cruel. Jake's girlfriend, a sorority queen with perfect waves, whispered to her table, and the word "gold digger" landed like a slap. I wanted to bolt, to drive out to the ranch where Mark's ghost still lingered in the creak of floorboards. But I stayed, rooted by the man who'd taught me to stand tall in the face of a blitz. Hargrove cleared his throat. To the University of Texas Athletic Department, the sum of $5 million for scholarships in underprivileged youth. Murmurs of approval rippled. To Elena Harlan, the family ranch in full. She dabbed her eyes from the front row, her nod tight. Then, and to Alexander Ruiz, my assistant trainer, the remainder of my estate, estimated at $22 million, along with a personal letter to be read aloud. Gasps sucked the oxygen from the room. Jake's chair scraped back. His face twisted, red as a sunburn. "What the hell?" he spat, loud enough for the mic to catch it. "That little gold digger." The word detonated. Head swiveled. A sea of tuxedos and gowns parting like the Red Sea. I felt heat flood my cheeks, the old shame rising like bile. Gold digger. It was the slur I dreaded. The one that reduced our love to transactions, our touches to schemes. Mark's fortune wasn't why I'd stayed up nights diagramming plays or why I'd held him through the migraines that foreshadowed his end. It was his laugh, low and rumbling like thunder over the plains. It was the way he'd say my name, Alex, like a prayer. But in that moment, with Jake's venom hanging in the air, I saw the truth. Our secret had been a fragile dam, and now it burst. Hargrove unfolded the letter, his hands steady as a surgeon's. "Alex," he began, and the room leaned in. "If you're hearing this, I'm gone, and you're hurting. God, I hate that for you. You were the light I didn't know I was chasing. Through all the games won and lost, the deals inked in blood, you made me remember what it felt like to be alive, not just enduring." Tears blurred the chandeliers into halos. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Even the director shifted uncomfortably. Jake crossed his arms, jaw clenched, but his eyes, those sharp, competitive eyes, flickered with something like doubt. "You think they see you as the pretty face in the training room, kid? Let them. But know this, you saved me. Not my knee, not my legacy, you saved my soul. I loved you fierce and quiet, the way a Texan loves the land that breaks him. And if they call you names, tell them from me, love ain't about the ledger. It's the only score that matters." The hall fell silent, save for a single sob from the back. One of the freshman linemen, the kid Mark had pulled from juvie and turned into a scholar athlete. Hargrove folded the paper, but the words lingered, heavy as humidity before a storm. Jake slunk back to his seat, mumbling apologies that dissolved into the carpet. The director cleared his throat, signaling the band's cue, but the spell held. I stood there, chest cracking open, Mark's voice echoing in my bones. Gold digger? No. I was the fool who'd loved without armor, who'd whispered promises into the dark while the world sharpened its knives. As the jazz swelled, soft horns mourning what was lost, I slipped out to the balcony again, the letter's weight in my pocket a talisman. Austin breathed below, alive and indifferent, and for the first time since the crash, I breathed with it. Mark was right. Love wasn't the fortune. It was the fire we'd kindled, burning bright enough to outlast the ashes. But that night was just the beginning. The will's reading cracked open more than bank accounts. It unearthed the bones of our hidden life, dragging us both into the light, willing or not. And in the weeks that followed, as the campus buzzed with scandal and sympathy, I learned that betrayal cuts deepest from those you call family. Jake, with his all-American grin masking a serpent's tongue, had been the first to poison the well, but he wasn't the last. Mark's legacy, it turned out, was a double-edged sword. It freed me, but it also marked me, a target in a game I never signed up to play. The ranch felt emptier without him. The king-sized bed a vast prairie of sheets that smelled faintly of his aftershave. Cedar and leather, like the man himself. I'd drive out there after practices, the truck's tires crunching gravel as the sun dipped behind the Balcones escarpment, painting the sky in bruises of purple and gold. The first night after the funeral, I'd sat on the porch with a bottle of his favorite mezcal, toasting the stars that wheeled overhead, indifferent witnesses to our stolen joys. "To us, old man," I'd whispered, the burn in my throat a poor substitute for his kiss. Now, with the estate in probate and Elena's lawyers circling like coyotes, I wondered if I'd trade it all for one more dawn with him. 22 million. Enough to buy silence or start over, but money couldn't buy back the years we'd tiptoed around truth. Mark had wanted to go public once, after a championship win, his arms slung casual around my shoulders in the locker room roar. Let 'em talk, he'd growled, buzzed on adrenaline and beer. But I'd frozen, the ghost of Lubbock's taunts chaining me. Not yet, I'd begged, and he'd relented, his sigh heavy as a missed field goal. The team noticed the shift immediately. Practices grew tense, the snap count off, passes sailing wide. I was the ghost in the training room now, taping ankles with hands that trembled, avoiding mirrors that reflected a man hollowed out. You okay, Ruiz? Tommy, the wide receiver, a gentle giant with a Bible verse tattooed on his bicep, asked one afternoon, his voice low as he flexed his newly braced knee. Tommy was one of the good ones. The kid who'd confided in me last spring about his own crush on a classmate, tears streaking his face after a loss. Coach would want you fighting, he added, clapping my shoulder with a strength that nearly buckled me. But not everyone was kind. Jake cornered me in the weight room that same week, the clang of iron plates a metallic underscore to his sneer. Heard about the Will Gold Digger. Coach must have been senile in his old age. His buddies hovered, spotters turned sentinels, their laughter barking like hyenas. Jake was Mark's protege, the son he'd never had, arrogant, talented, with a daddy's money cushioning his falls. I'd seen the jealousy simmer when Mark praised my game plans, the way Jake's eyes narrowed during strategy huddles. You think you're special? He pressed, stepping close enough for me to smell his protein shake breath. Sleeping your way to the top? Pathetic. I shoved him back, the motion instinctive, my pulse thundering like a longhorn stampede. You don't know shit about us? I snarled, the words tasting like ash. The room froze, dumbbells mid-curl, treadmills whining to a halt. Jake recovered with a smirk, rubbing his chest theatrically. Us? Oh honey, everyone knew. Just waited for the payout to prove it. He sauntered out, leaving the echo of his taunt to fester. Word spread like wildfire through dry grass. By Friday's scrimmage, the whispers had teeth. Graffiti on my truck, ferry trainer. Scratched in the parking lot dawn. Elena called that night, her voice brittle over the line from her Dallas high-rise. Alex, the media's sniffing. TMZ ran a blind item. Gridiron ghost haunts air. We need to talk settlement. Settlement. As if our love could be bartered like cattle at auction. He wanted me to have it? I said, staring at the photo on the mantel. Mark and me at the state fair, his arm around a cotton candy stick, my grin wide and unguarded. For the kids like Tommy, scholarships for the ones who don't fit the mold. She sighed, the sound of a woman who'd buried her brother and now mourned the family name. Mark was always the dreamer, but this, it's a scandal, Alex. The board's talking buyout for you. Quiet exit, big check. I hung up, the receiver heavy in my hand, and poured another drink. Outside, a coyote yipped, lonely and sharp, the hill country alive with nocturnal truths. The climax came unbidden, a storm front rolling in from the west. It was the alumni golf outing, a swanky affair at Barton Creek Resort, where boosters and polo shirts swapped stories and checks. Mark had dragged me once, introducing me as my right-hand man, his wink hidden behind aviators. This time, I went alone, Elena's insistence ringing. Show face, or they write you off. The course gleamed emerald under a relentless sun, carts puttering like golf buggies in a bad sitcom. I stuck to the edges, nursing a club soda, when Jake appeared, flushed from 9 holes, his swing a cocky arc. Ruiz, he drawled, tossing a tit laced at my feet. Bet you're spending daddy's money already. New truck? Or saving for that rainbow flag parade? His cronies chuckled, a quartet of trust fund jocks with Rolexes glinting. Something snapped. The damn Mark's letter had weakened. I picked up the ball, rolling it in my palm like a grenade. You worshipped him, Jake. Acted like his shadow. But you never saw him, the man who cried watching Brokeback Mountain, who volunteered at the shelter for queer kids. You think I dug for gold? You buried your own chance to know him. His face blanched, then reddened fury. Queer? That's bullshit. Coach was straight as an arrow. But doubt cracked his voice. A fisher. One of his buddies shifted, uncomfortable. The same lineman who'd sobbed at the banquet. "Jake, man, ease up," he muttered. Jake swung wild, his putter slicing air. But I was already walking away, the ball left as an offering to whatever God watched over fractured men. That night, the betrayal deepened. My email pinged at midnight. Anonymous, a grainy photo attachment. Mark and me, locked in a kiss outside a dive bar in 6th Street, timestamped 2 years back. The subject, Gold Digger Exposed. Sender, Longhorn Legacy 87. Jake's jersey number. Rage boiled, but so did clarity. This was the conflict Mark had shielded me from, the world's recoil when love dared defy the playbook. I forwarded it to Hargrove, then drove to the station, filing the report with a cop who nodded sympathetically, his badge catching the fluorescent glare. "Hate crimes in sports? Happens more than you'd think," he said, jotting notes. Dawn broke as I left, the city stirring with joggers and baristas, life asserting its rude persistence. The board meeting was a farce, suits in a conference room overlooking the tower's clock face. The director, a silver fox with a drawl like molasses, slid papers across the table. "Alex, you're invaluable. But optics." Elena sat beside me, her presence a reluctant anchor. "He loved him, Harold," she said flatly. "Let the will stand." They balked, citing donors, but Hargrove's facts arrived mid-debate. The letter, notarized, appended with Mark's directive. Any interference, and the athletic fund gets zilch. Silence, then concessions. I kept my job, the estate intact, but the real victory was internal. The decision, whispered to myself in the ranch's mirror, to come out. Not with fanfare, but truth emailed to the team, a quiet post on the university's ally group page. Mark taught me courage. "This is mine." Responses trickled. Tommy's hug emoji. Elena's call. "Proud of you, kid." Jake's? A voicemail, voice cracked. "Saw the photo. Sorry, coach." He was like a dad. "Didn't know." Forgiveness? Not yet. But understanding bloomed. A fragile shoot in scorched earth. Months later, at the spring game, I stood on the sideline, whistle around my neck, the crowd's roar a bomb. The will funded the first Harlan Ruiz Scholarship for LGBTQ+ athletes, underprivileged dreamers like the boy I'd been. As the kicker booted the extra point through the uprights, I felt Mark's hand on my shoulder, ghost warm. Gold digger? No, I'd mined something rarer. A love that endured, humanistic in its mess, romantic in its redemption. And in America's heartland, under those stadium lights, it shone brighter than any fortune. The scholarship launch was a low-key affair, tucked into the Alumni Center's atrium where potted ferns whispered against glass walls, and the scent of fresh coffee mingled with the faint polish of success. I'd scripted it simple. A podium, a plaque, Mark's photo projected large, him in his burnt orange polo, grinning like he'd just stolen a rival's playbook. Elena handled the donors, her smile practiced as she glad-handed oil barons and tech bros who'd flown in from Silicon Valley. Me? I stuck to the shadows, nursing a water bottle, my heart a drum roll against my ribs. Tommy spotted me first, weaving through the crowd with his fiancée on his arm. A sweet girl named Lila, all freckles and finance degree. "Coach Ruiz," he boomed, pulling me into a bear hug that lifted my loafers off the tile. "This is epic. That kid from Houston, the one with the stutter, he's applying because of you." His eyes, earnest brown pools, held no judgment, only the echo of late-night talks in the training room, where I'd shared fragments of my own stuttered coming out. Lila squeezed my hand. Mark would be proud. Would he? The thought twisted, sweet and serrated. The event hummed along, speeches clipped, checks signed. Then the MC called me up. Alexander Ruiz, who turns legacy into light. Applause polite, scattered. I gripped the podium, Mark's image looming behind, his eyes seeming to wink. Mark Harlan wasn't just a coach. I began, voice steady despite the tremor in my knees. He was a builder of teams, of dreams, of quiet revolutions. This fund? It's for the ones who run the field with hearts heavier than their cleats. The boys who love fierce, fight harder, and deserve a shot anyway. A hush fell, thicker than the summer heat outside. I glanced at Jake, wedged in the back row, his posture rigid as rebar. He'd shown up uninvited, Ty Askew, nursing a scotch like an alibi. Our eyes met, mine steady, his flickering with the remorse of a man who'd swung and missed. After the photo, the reading, he'd sent flowers to the ranch. Lilies white as surrender with a card. I was wrong. Let me make it right. I'd tossed them, but kept the card, pinned to the fridge like a scarlet letter turned talisman. Post-ceremony, the atrium emptied into cocktail chatter, ice cubes clinking like Morse code. Elena cornered me by the dessert table, her pearls clicking softly. You did good, Alex. But the press. She trailed off, nodding to a cluster of reporters, local rags mostly, sniffing for the human interest angle. They'll want your story. The full one. The gay trainer, the millionaire's lover, the will that rocked the gridiron. Humanistic triumph, American dream repackaged. I shrugged, popping a pecan into my mouth. Let M. Mark always said truth's the best defense. She searched my face, her own softening. The lines around her eyes Mark's mirror. He talked about you, you know. Late nights after Elena Jr.'s recitals. That boy's got spine, he'd say. Thought you were too good for this circus. Her hand on mine was tentative, a bridge over the chasm of our shared loss. Stay for dinner? Family table. Family. The word landed soft, no longer a taunt. Jake approached then, weaving like a halfback dodging tacklers, his cronies absent for once. Ruiz, Alex. He extended a hand, palm up, vulnerable. About the photo. It was me. Heat of the moment after the will hit. Thought it'd, I don't know, expose you before you could cash in. His voice cracked, boyish under the bravado. I took the hand, grip firm but not crushing. It exposed you, Jake. The fear. Mark saw it in you. Pushed you harder because he cared. He nodded, swallowing hard. I'm seeing someone. Guy from law school. Kept it quiet 'cause, well, you know. The admission hung. A confessional in the din. Congrats. I said. Meaning it. Betrayal's sting dulled to empathy. We'd both been playing scared. Dinner was brisket slow-cooked to tenderness, sides of cornbread and collards that evoked Mark's Sunday suppers. Him in an apron, teasing my city boy palate. Elena's husband, a quiet accountant named Phil, asked about my plans for the estate. Invest in the team? He suggested. Fork paused. I shook my head. Part scholarships, part a youth center. Somewhere safe for kids like Tommy was like I was. No more hiding in locker rooms. Elena beamed, raising her glass. To Mark, and the men he made better. The toasts flowed, wine loosening tongues. Stories spilled. Mark's first interception as a player, his epic rant that turned a 98 loss into a dynasty spark. Laughter bubbled, grief's ballast lifting. Jake, seated across, chimed in with a tale from camp. Mark catching him sneaking beers, turning it into a life lesson on accountability. Said love's the same. Own your plays, win or lose. His eyes met mine, apology woven in. By dessert, key lime pie tart as regret. I felt the room's warmth seep in, thawing the isolation I'd armored since the crash. But romance, that sly fox, doesn't die easy. It lingered in the ranch's quiet, in the letters Mark had stashed in his desk. Dog-eared pages from our early days, when I'd send play sketches doodled with hearts. One night, post-dinner haze, I pored over them by lamplight, the hill country's frogs chorusing outside. Alex, you tackle my doubts like a linebacker. Don't ever stop. Tears hit the ink, blurring his scrawl. I'd loved him not for the ranch's sprawl or the vault's gleam, but for these, proof of a man who saw me whole. Sleep evaded, so I drove into Austin proper, the interstate a ribbon of sodium glow. 6th Street pulsed, neon veins alive with revelers spilling from bars. I parked near the dive where the photo was snapped. That kiss, impulsive after a win, Mark's cap backward, my hands fisting his shirt. The bar was unchanged. Sticky floors, jukebox crooning Willie Nelson. I ordered a shiner, settling at the corner booth, ghosts thick as smoke. A guy slid onto the stool opposite, mid-30s, tousled hair, a tattoo peeking from his flannel cuff. A longhorn silhouette, ironic twist. Mind Company? His name was Ryan, a graphic designer who'd grown up in Round Rock, cheering Longhorns from the cheap seats. Conversation flowed easy. Plays dissected. Life's fumbles laughed off. Heard about Harlan, he said softly when the topic circled. Badass move, the will. Takes guts. No pity, just respect. His hand brushed mine on the coaster, electric but unhurried. For the first time, the pull didn't scare me. It felt like continuation. Mark's love echoing in possibility. We walked the block after last call. Austin's breeze carrying jasmine and street food sizzle. Another round sometime? Ryan asked at my truck. I nodded, the yes light on my tongue. Betrayal had carved space. Conflict cleared the field. Now, romance could root anew, humanistic in its humility. Back at the ranch, dawn gilding the pastures, I texted Elena. Dinner was family. Thanks. Her reply pinged instant. Always was. The scholarship's first recipient called next day. A shy sophomore from El Paso, voice quivering over the line. Mr. Ruiz? I want to coach someday. Like Harlan. Pride swelled. Mark's legacy alive in pixels and promise. Jake emailed too. Center opening volunteer spot? Oh, you. I typed back. Start Monday. The drama hadn't ended with the will. It evolved, suspense yielding to steady build. Whispers in the athletic department faded to nods. The graffiti on my truck buffed clean by facilities crew. Anonymous, but Tommy's grin gave it away. Ryan and I met for coffee, then hikes in the hills, his laugh a new rhythm, complementary to Mark's memory. No rush, no secrets, just two men navigating the American sprawl, where love's the ultimate upset. Yet, the emotional undercurrent pulled deep. One evening, sorting Mark's closet, flannel shirts folded like flags, I found a hidden journal, leather-bound, entries in his blocky print. Alex sleeps like a storm past. Woke to his lashes on the pillow, thought. This is Grace. Pages chronicled our arc. First awkward date at a food truck rally. My nerves jangling like keys. The night he proposed going public. My no a gut punch to us both. Betrayal's mine, he wrote after. Pushed too hard. Tears came fresh. Cathartic rain. I shared snippets with Ryan over tacos at Torchy's, the lot buzzing with students. He sounds real, Ryan said, lime juice on his chin. Not the icon, the man. We talked betrayal, his exes outing him to family, the fallout's frost. Common ground, scarred but shared. Romance bloomed slow. A hand in his at Barton Springs, toes in the cool current. A movie night at my place, rom-com flickering as we decoded plot twists. The team's spring banquet loomed, irony's encore. I dreaded the echoes, gold digger's ghost. But Jake pulled strings, proposing a tribute segment. Your words, he insisted at practice, tossing a football my way. I caught it, spiral true. Deal. Rehearsals were raw. Players sharing how Mark's tough love masked care. Tommy outing his allyship with the story of defending a bullied teammate. Jake's turn. I failed him. Jealous kid, lashing out. But Alex, he's the real MVP. Applause thundered, genuine. Banquet night. The hall transformed. Banners fresh. Tables laden with Tex-Mex flair. Elena arrived with Elena Jr., the girl a spitfire at 12, hugging me fierce. Uncle Alex, she declared, and the title stuck. Familial glue. Ryan tagged along, casual in chinos, his presence a quiet anchor. As speeches rolled, tension coiled. Would old wounds reopen? But the room held, laughter cresting waves of memory. My turn came last. Podium familiar, ghosts banished. Mark taught US plays, but life? That's improv. I nodded to Jake, to Tommy, to Ryan in the crowd. Betrayal breaks, but forgiveness fields. Love, deep, dramatic. It's our halftime show. The letters excerpt followed, Hargrove's voice steady. Applause erupted, sustained, the kind that shakes rafters. After Ryan pulled me aside, hallway dim. Proud, he murmured, kiss light as promise. Elena toasted with us later, circle small but solid. The Will's fortune, it funded the center's groundbreaking. Shovels in red dirt, kids' faces alight. Humanistic close. Not perfection, but progress. Romance's thread weaving through loss's loom. The groundbreaking ceremony was pure Texas spectacle. Hard hats and burnt orange, a brass band oomping under the relentless July sun, and a crowd that swelled like the San Marcos River after spring rains. The site sat on the city's east side, a forgotten lot wedged between Ticarius and tire shops, now staked for the Harlan Ruiz Youth Center. A beacon for at-risk LGBTQ+ kids, with fields for soccer, rooms for counseling, and a weight room I'd designed myself. Mark would have loved it. Practical as a playbook, heartfelt as a huddle prayer. I wielded the shovel awkwardly, dirt caking my boots, Elena beside me in designer gloves that wouldn't soil. Cameras flashed. Austin American Statesman. A local news van with a perky reporter shoving a mic my way. Alex, how does it feel? Turning tragedy to triumph. Her eyes sparkled, hungry for sound bites. I wiped sweat from my brow, Mark's old Longhorns cap shading my grin. Feels like home, like giving back what was given to me. Truth, unvarnished. The center was my atonement, a way to alchemize grief into growth. Ryan stood at the crowd's edge, videoing on his phone, his smile crooked and proud. We'd hit 6 months now, easy milestones marked by hikes in McKinney Falls, where we'd picnic on brisket sandwiches and debate fantasy football drafts. He was steady, not stormy like Mark. His love a gentle current, not a flash flood. No grand gestures, just notes in my lunch. Crush that practice. Dinner's on me. Betrayal's scar had taught me to cherish the quiet fidelities. Post-ceremony, the team crashed the after-party at a nearby brewery. IPAs flowing, cornhole tournaments rigged for laughs. Jake manned the grill, flipping burgers with a focus that bordered on redemption. His law school boyfriend, Connor, at his side. A lanky litigator with a quick wit. Heard you sued a homophobe last month. I teased Jake over plates piled high. He shrugged, smoke curling from the pit. Pro bono. Figured I owed the universe one. Connor clapped his back. More like 10. Laughter rippled easy as the Guadalupe. Tommy and Lila announced their wedding there. Fall, at a vineyard outside Fredericksburg. Y'all invited. Tommy boomed, pulling Ryan into a side hug. The joy was infectious, a counterpoint to the drama that had defined my year. But under the string lights, as fireflies blinked like errant stars, doubt crept in. The center's funding was solid. Mark's will a war chest. But bureaucracy loomed. Permits delayed, donors wavering when the gay agenda whispers surfaced. One night, alone in the ranch office, spreadsheets blurring, I slammed the laptop. What if it's not enough? I muttered to the empty room, Mark's empty chair. Ryan found me like that, midnight run from his apartment downtown. He didn't pry, just brewed tea, chamomile, soothing as his touch, and sat cross-legged on the rug, listening as I vented. You're building more than bricks, Alex. You're building safe. His hand on my knee grounded me. The conflict internal now. Fear of failing Mark's vision, of love's fragility in a world quick to shatter it. We ended tangled on the couch, kisses soft, conversation deeper. His own betrayals, a family's rejection after college coming out. We heal forward, he said, and I believed him. Romance's romance in shared scars. The first real test came in August, preseason heat wave turning the field into a skillet. A donor pulled out, big oil exec, muttering about values misalignment, after a Chronicle op-ed questioned the center's focus. The athletic director called me in, office air-conditioned to Arctic, his face etched concern. Alex, we back you, but optics. Again the word a ghost. Elena stormed the meeting unannounced, briefcase in tow. Optics be damned. Mark's estate covers the gap triple. Her fire, Mark's echo, sealed it. We left arm in arm, her laugh brittle but bright. Family sticks, kid. Fall semester hit like a blindside. Campus alive with co-eds in orange. RVs tailgating Darrell K. Royal Stadium. I coached harder, pushing the team through two-a-days, my whistle a lifeline. Jake started as backup QB, his throws laser-precise, earning nods from scouts. One drill, he jogged over post-water break, helmet tucked. "Hey, about the center. Connor and I want to host a fundraiser. Law firm connections." Suspense eased. This was alliance, not ambush. "You're on," I said, bumping fists. The drama of betrayal receded, replaced by collaborative pulse. Ryan's integration deepened subtly. Team barbecues where he bantered stats with Tommy, quiet dinners at the ranch where we'd cook Mark's chili recipe, tweaking spices like co-conspirators. Intimacy built emotional, not explosive. Nights where he'd read graphic novels aloud, his voice weaving worlds, or mornings tangled in sheets, coffee steaming as we planned trips. Big Bend for stargazing, New Orleans for jazz and beignet. No secrets, we'd vowed early, and it held, a bulwark against old storms. But emotions' tide turned swift. October brought rain, biblical downpours flooding Barton Creek. Practice canceled. The team holing up in the film room. Jake and I reviewed tape, side by side, the glow of screens casting us in blue light. "Miss him," he admitted, pausing a clip of Mark's last huddle. "The way he'd rip us, then buy pizzas after." I nodded, throat tight. "He saw your potential before you did. That's love." Jake's eyes glistened, like he saw yours. The admission bridged us, betrayal's chasm spanned by mutual mourning. That vulnerability cracked open the floodgates. Jake confided Connor's proposal nerves, the ring hidden in a sock drawer. I shared ranch loneliness, the will's weight like an anchor. "You're lighter now," he observed, and damn if he wasn't right. Romance with Ryan amplified it. Our first overnight at his loft, city lights twinkling through blinds, his whispers mapping futures. No rush to merge lives, just parallel paths converging, humanistic in their humanity. Halloween hit Austin fever pitch. 6th Street a crush of costumes, zombies shambling past superheroes. Ryan and I went as gridiron ghosts. Jerseys faded, face paint skeletal grins. Crashing a team party at a warehouse turned haunted house. Tommy as a werewolf, Lila his moonlit mate, Jake and Connor as Sherlock and Watson, deductive duo. Laughter echoed off brick walls, fog machines churning mist. In a quiet corner, Ryan pulled me close, mask tugged low. "Love this you us alive." Kiss salty with sweat, sweet with certainty. November's chill brought Thanksgiving, Elena hosting at the ranch. Tables groaning under turkey and tamales, Elena Jr. piping up about school crushes, her blush universal. Phil carved with surgical precision. Toasts circling like migratory birds. Ryan fit seamless, passing cornbread, his foot nudging mine under linen. "Family," he mouthed, and I nodded, Mark's absence a gentle ache, not void. The center's soft opening followed. A ribbon cutting in December drizzle. Kids toured wide-eyed. Teens from group homes, faces lit by hope. One boy, 14 and freckled, tugged my sleeve. "Coach, can I play here?" His voice small but eyes fierce. "Every day," I promised, kneeling. Mark's spirit thrummed, romantic redemption in miniature. Yet, climax loomed subtle. A rival donor's smear campaign, anonymous letters to the board claiming mismanagement. Suspense built, emails frantic, Elena's calls nightly. Jake rallied, his legal eagle Connor drafting counters. "We've got receipts," he growled over conference call. Ryan held vigil, takeout ties steaming on the counter. "Team effort," he said, and we were love's network, betrayal's antidote. Resolution crested at the Holiday Bowl game, stadium electric under floodlights. The team surged, Jake's arm a cannon. Victory snatched in overtime. Post-game, in the locker room roar, I hugged players fierce. Ryan's cheer from the stands a beacon. Elena texted, smear squashed. Donors doubled down. Relief washed, emotional crest. New Year's Eve, Ryan and I climbed Enchanted Rock, granite dome under star-frosted sky. Fireworks popped distant, Austin's pulse. "To us," he toasted with thermos cocoa, arms encircling. Love, dramatic yet domestic, bloomed full humanistic arc, from gold digger slur to golden legacy. Winter thawed into spring's tentative green, the hill country unfurling like a hand from prayer, wildflowers rioting along backroads. The center hummed now, after-school programs packed, the soccer pitch alive with shouts in Spanish and English, kids dodging cones with the focus of future stars. I'd taken to volunteering Tuesdays, taping tiny ankles and diagramming drills on whiteboards scarred from use. It grounded me, this patchwork of purpose. Mark's fortune transformed into laughter echoing off cinder-block walls. Ryan and I settled into rhythm, his loft a second home, canvases stacked in corners, his sketches of Austin's underbelly mingling with my game tapes on shelves. We'd host game nights, team stragglers crashing on couches, pizza boxes a battlefield of crusts. Jake and Connor became fixtures, their banter a soundtrack, legal jargon laced with football metaphors. Objection. That's pass interference. Jake would holler at a bad call on TV, Connor rolling eyes fondly. Betrayal's residue? Faded to footnote Jake's overcorrections, extra shifts at the center, mentoring the shy ones, proof of growth. But emotion's underbelly stirs unbidden. One April afternoon, post-practice deluge, I found a letter in the ranch mailbox. No stamp, handwritten envelope. Alex, meet me. Truths untold. H. Elena? But her script looped elegant. This was blocky, masculine. Heart-thudding, I drove to the coordinates scrawled inside. A diner off I-35, neon sign flickering, open 24/7, like a weary promise. The place smelled of grease and regret, booths cracked vinyl cradling truckers and transients. He sat in the back. Mark's old offensive coordinator, Bert, grizzled at 60, nursing black coffee. We'd clashed often. His old-school gruffness clashing my progressive tweaks. Mark the referee. Sit, he grunted, voice gravel from years of sideline barks. I slid in, wary. What's this about? Bert pushed a manila folder across, photos spilling. Mark and me, candid shots from years back. Picnics, drives, that 6th Street kiss grainier than Jake's leak. Found these in his locker. After he died. Meant to burn him. His eyes, roomy blue, held storm clouds. Knew about you too. For years. Shock rooted me. Mark had sworn secrecy, even from Bert, his right hand since '85. Why now? I pressed, fingers tracing a faded snapshot. Us at Enchanted Rock, silhouettes against sunset. He sighed, deep as a sack of feed. Guilt. Mark confided once, drunk after a donor gala. Bert, he's the real deal. Panicked. Told the wife who blabbed to a booster. Started the whispers. The gold digger rumor mill traced to this booth's ghost. Betrayal layered, not malice but fear. Bert's own son lost to AIDS in the '90s. Closet locked tight. Hated myself, he admitted, voice cracking. For hurting him. For the poison. Confession hung heavy. Coffee cooling untouched. I leaned back, processing. The web of silence we'd all spun. Threads tangling lives. Mark forgave worse, I said finally. Volunteer at the center. Teach these kids blocking schemes. Honor him that way. Bert nodded, slow, a dam breaking. Will do. We parted with a handshake. Firm as pact. The folder mine. Artifacts of love, not shame. Ryan waited at the loft, tie delivery steaming. Rough? He asked, decoding my silence over pad CEW. I spilled it all, photos fanned on the coffee table like tarot cards. He studied them, gentle. Beautiful. You too raw real. His touch on my wrist sparked, emotional intimacy deepening to romantic anchor. That night, we burned the folder in a backyard pit at the ranch. Flames devouring secrets. Ashes swirled skyward like released prayers. To truths. Ryan toasted with beer bottles clinking. Love in its drama purified. May brought graduation, caps arcing like punts over the 40 acres. Tommy walked, diploma clutched, Lila beaming beside. The ceremony blurred. Speeches on perseverance. Gowns a sea of orange tide. Post-rite, we gathered at a rooftop bar, skyline sprawling, toasts to futures. Jake, internship-bound to a Dallas firm, raised his glass. To coaches, seen and unseen. Eyes on me, gratitude glint. Connor hooped, pulling him into a dip kiss that drew cheers. Progress palpable. The center's first camp followed, a week of drills and dialogues under Texas sun. Kids arrived tentative, some with fresh bruises, others eyes downcast, but bloomed. A non-binary teen acing free throws, a trans boy leading cheers. I coached with Bert, his gruff hut, masking tenderness. One evening bonfire, stories circled. Losses, loves, leaps. A girl, 16 and fierce, shared her coming out, voice steady. Your center? It's home. Tears pricked. Mark's humanism incarnate. Romance with Ryan crested casual yet profound. A weekend in Marfa, art installations dotting desert like fever dreams. We hiked Prada Marfa, that absurd storefront mirage, laughing at consumerism's joke. Night fell star-drenched, tent zipped tight, his breath warm on my neck. Marry me? He whispered, ring box velvet in the dark. Not proposal but possibility, ring a simple band silver as moonlight. Someday, I murmured, yes implicit. No knee, no flash. Just us, dramatic in devotion. June's heat wave tested resolve, practices in dawn's mercy. The team gelled, chemistry crackling, Jake mentoring freshman, his poise veteran. Off-field, drama simmered low. A booster's lingering grudge, funding Knicks via backchannel complaints. Elena quashed it, her board seat a shield. Mark's ghost scares him straight. She joked over lunch, her laugh freer now. Emotional depth plumbed in quiet. Ranch porches at dusk. Ryan sketching while I journaled. Entries echoing Mark's, fragments of healing. Ryan sees the man, not the myth. Grateful. Betrayal's lessons layered wisdom. Forgive not for them, but freedom. Jake's texts evolved. Camp invites. Fatherly advice on that artist fella. Alliance forged in fire. July 4th exploded color. Fireworks over Lady Bird Lake. Team picnic sprawling Zilker Park. Grills sizzled. Frisbees soared. Kids from the center mingling with players. Bert manned cornhole, his laugh booming rare. Elena Jr. chased sparklers. Her uncle Alex. A siren call. Ryan and I lounged on a blanket. His head on my thigh. Fingers tracing lazy eights. This, he said, sky blooming red, white, blue, is the dream. Romantic apex. Suspense resolved to serenity. August preseason loomed, but first, a road trip to Lubbock, my panhandle roots calling. Ryan drove, truck loaded with cooler and ghosts. The flatlands stretched endless, windmills sentinel. My childhood home sagged unchanged. Trailer on dusty acre. Folks aged but arms open. This your man? Dad asked, grip testing Ryan's hand. Mom hugged fierce, cornbread steaming. Over dinner, chili verde, my recipe, they asked about Mark, the will, gentle probes. Proud son, Dad grunted, eyes wet. Coming home, full circle. Back in Austin, the center's expansion broke ground. Gym edition, Mark's name etched in stone. Donors swelled, Jake's gala raising 6 figures. Speeches flowed, mine brief, heartfelt. From whispers to walls, love builds. Applause thundered, Ryan's whoop loudest. Fall's first game crackled. Opener against Oklahoma, stadium fevered. Halftime, down by 7. Jake rallied. For Harlan, touchdown surge, victory 28-24. Locker room erupted, hugs sweat slick. Ryan waited outside, jersey-clad, kiss celebratory. Life's plot thickened sweet. Conflict seeded to crescendo, emotions wave-cresting joy. Yet humanism tempers. A call from Bert, voice hoarse, cancer, stage 3. We rallied, funds funneled. Team visits. His bedside confession. Mark knew my sins. Forgave first. I held his hand, Mark's echo. He still does. Betrayal's final layer peeled. Revealing grace. Thanksgiving redux at the ranch, table fuller. Bert frail but feasting. Elena Jr. reciting poetry. Toasts to health, to horizons. Ryan's ring glinted, promise pending. Love, in its gay, American tapestry, dramatic, suspenseful, romantic, wove enduring. December's grip loosened grudgingly. Austin's oaks shedding copper leaves like reluctant confessions. The air crisp with promise of renewal. The center stood sentinel now, its lights a nightly glow against the east side's grit. A lighthouse for the lost boys and girls who'd found their footing on its turf. Bert's treatments dragged. Chemocycles that hollowed his cheeks but not his spirit. And we'd shuttle him to sessions, Jake at the wheel, Connor navigating maps on his phone. Team effort. Bert would rasp. His laugh a wheeze that still commanded respect. Ryan and I marked our year with subtlety. A dinner at Jeffrey's, steak seared rare, wine decanted like secrets. The ring stayed pocketed, a talisman for not yet. Our pace unhurried as a Sunday drive. Post-meal, we wandered Congress Avenue Bridge, Bat's swirling exodus at dusk. A million wings blotting sunset, nature's own drama. Like us? Ryan murmured, arm looped mine. Emerging, unafraid. His words landed soft, stirring the emotional reservoir I dammed since Mark. Love as evolution, not erasure. The bowl selection show aired mid-month, tension thick as fog over the river. The team huddled in the athletic lounge, pizzas devoured, eyes glued to screens. Announcement dropped, Fiesta Bowl, against Clemson, national stage, Mark's legacy spotlit. Cheers erupted, Jake hoisted on shoulders, his grin boyish. For the ghosts, he yelled, and eyes turned to me, nods solemn. The drama reignited, suspense in spotlights. Practices intensified, media swarming. Elena hosted the holidays proper. Ranch aglow with luminarias, tamales steaming in kettles big as barrels. Family sprawled. Phil manning the fire pit. Elena Jr. gifting handmade ornaments. Mine a tiny football with rainbow laces. Bert propped in a rocker, oxygen tank humming companion. Ryan carved turkey, his knife sure, fitting as kin. Toast circled. To health, Bert's clink weak but willing. To love, Jake's wink at Connor. To memory, Elena's glass raised to Mark's empty chair. Laughter laced tears, humanistic blend. Joy's edge honed by loss. New Year's dawned hungover but hopeful. Ryan and I toasting at sunrise from the porch, mimosas fizzing. Resolutions? Vague. More center time, less doubt. Bert rallied enough for the center's winter gala. Black tie in the gym, balloons bobbing like buoyant hearts. Jake emceed, charm polished, auctioning signed jerseys for scholarships. I spoke brief. Mark built winners. We build worlds. Bid soared. Ryan's sketch of the field. Commission surprise. Fetching $5,000. Bert cornered me after. Eyes clear. You did right by him, kid. By me. His hug frail. Forgiveness sealed. January thawed to bowl prep frenzy. Flights booked to Glendale, hotel suites with views of desert sprawl. Media hounded. ESPN segments on Harlan's Heart. My story the hook. Gold digger to Guardian. Interviews drained. But Ryan prepped me, mock questions over breakfast burritos. Own it, he'd say, thumb tracing my jaw. You're the narrative now. Romance buffered the blitz. Stolen calls from Phoenix, his voice anchor amid chaos. The game week vortex sucked us in. Pressers scripted, walkthroughs grueling under Arizona sun. Jake Schoen, poise presidential. Tommy, grad assistant now diagramming sidelines. Eve of, team dinner at a steakhouse. Mark's playbook open on every table. Tactics and tenets. Play like family. I toasted, glass lifted. Nods rippled. Unity forged. Kickoff thundered. Stadium a cauldron. Orange sea clashing Clemson purple. First half brutal. Fumbles, flags, score knotted 14-all. Halftime huddle. Jake's voice steady. This is us, resilient. Second surged. Touchdown pass, Jake to freshman Phenom. Crowd delirious. Final drive, down by 3, clock ticking, he scrambled, lofted deep, caught, end zone spike. 24-21. Confetti blizzard. Field storm. Hugs tectonic. Gatorade showers sticky sweet. Jake bear hugged me. Helmet off. Tears streaking war paint. We did it for him. Elena and Ryan rushed down, Her whoop maternal, his kiss salt-laced. Trophies gleamed, but the real prize? Legacy etched in sweat and story. Bert passed quiet, 2 weeks post-victory. Home, surrounded, his last words a grunt. Good game. Funeral understated, center chapel packed. Players in suits, kids clutching programs. Eulogy mine. He blocked for giants. Now he rests. Jake spoke too, voice breaking. Coach, both of you, taught mercy. Graveside, Ryan's hand in mine, solidarity silent. Spring bloomed balm, center expanding, counseling wing ribbon cut, Elena presiding. Ryan proposed proper then, enchanted rock summit, ring proffered with desert wind. Partners. Yes, gasped through tears, kiss ceiling. Wedding small. Summer solstice, ranch altar under oaks, Jake best man, Tommy officiant, ordained online, grin wide. Vows simple. Through betrayals and bowls, I choose you. Dance floor dirt packed, band playing wagon wheel, Elena Jr. twirling with Elena. Years blurred montage. Center franchised, satellites in Dallas, Houston. Jake's NFL draft, 3rd round. His jersey retired UT rafters. Ryan's gallery show, portraits of us, the team, raw reverence. Elena's memoir ghosted by me. Gridiron grace, bestseller quiet. Kids came. Adopted twins, rambunctious as colts, center alums grown. Emotions arc closed gentle. Mark's ghost benevolent. Romance with Ryan deep-rooted oak. No tragic fade. Humanistic happy. Love's drama endured. Suspense resolved in serenity. Gold no longer digger's lure but shared gleam. In Austin's endless blue, under stadium lights eternal, I coached on whistle shrill, heart full. The will read aloud that banquet night, catalyst not curse. For in America's beating heart, where conflicts clash and affections heal, we played the long game. Winners, all.